Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sun Up on 7. Thank you so much for sharing the space with me, the space with Renata. And of course, if everybody that's getting ready to start your day, I want to wish you all the best. I want to say thanks to some folks that have been commenting and showing their support on the chat. Brandon, thank you so much for your support. Mrs. Cida Lopez, Daniel Rosado and Belmopan. Of course, Auntie Michelle as well. Thank you so much. Just want to say thank you, and I'm sure that other folks that are reading these comments also connect with you, and they know that there's support exists within this space. So it's time for our first conversation. We're talking to no stranger. We're talking to Caleb Orozco today. Caleb has been a pillar in LGBT activism nationally, but also at a global landscape. And today we'll take the opportunity to get to know Caleb better. You know, what has been his drive behind his advocacy, and of course, what should we expect next from Caleb? I'm sure everybody was like,
We're going to expect a dance, of course.
We're expecting a dance from Caleb today.
He's already promised me. And you know, guys, how I am when it comes to these promises. So we're going to be dancing at the ending of the
Correction, I did not promise you. I signed a contract.
A verbal contract. Okay, and we have it here on record. So I want to get ready for this dance at the ending of the segment. So yeah.
Happy Pride, Caleb. How are you feeling this morning?
I am in a strange spot because I'm busy thinking about the next quarrel I need to do next week, while at the same time appreciating the visibility, the representation, and the incredible progress we've made over 16 years. Most people would know it has been 16 years since we started this work. It has been 25 years of human development work I've been involved with, and that leaves an imprint on somebody like me.
Right. I mean, it's definitely huge that we're able to have this conversation, this representation on the media, right? I mean, and from the angle where it's more receptive rather than bashing the movement. So it's for me it's a big win.
For me, it's the humanization of our existence. For me, it translates into political representation, like the Constitutional Commission. It infuses all these politicians who sometimes behave like they go to the University of Spineless Thought and they leave their spine on the kitchen table. And so as citizens, we need to remind them that where their spine belongs, it does not belong on the kitchen table. And so I make the point that change and transformation in 2022 is an opportunity for us all.
Definitely, it is.
Caleb, I want us to go back a little bit because we're talking in Couch Talk, and I got some history. I love Kevin for this so much. He was explaining to me so much the importance of, you know, Section 53 and what we fought for, what you specifically, you know, put your neck out there for, right? Mm-hmm. The extortion that was taking place, the illegal to legal movement, you know, all of the fight back. Could you tell me about, you know, how was it in that moment? Those moments, because it's not just one moment, several moments. Like, what was going through your head, and what was the push to make sure that this takes place? Because, as you know, the threat for life, the threat for safety, of a safe place, everything, that just keeps coming, especially back then to now, you know. Like, it's way more back then. So what was going through your mind when you know you have to fight for these rights?
So, first of all, I realized, for me, I'm going to turn 50 next year, which is crazy. Because I still think I'm, I don't know, 20, but okay.
He's younger than me.
For me now, it's interesting when 6 and 7-year-olds and 12-year-olds who are barely understood Section 53 yell, Orozco! And I go, but I don't know you. and I have to deal with whatever attitude they have. In fact, I post up something on my Facebook where one tried to stone me because if you're going to dish medicine to me, be prepared to take the medicine. So I verbally said a few things, and he got upset and decided he didn't want to stone at me. So that is interesting. Now, rolling back then, there's this whole closeted attitude. But y'all, walk free and nobody do you nothing. Well, if it's not your lived experience, nobody do you nothing. But you won't see the man slapping you wrong or the pa manning you up by making you do some end work. you won't see your siblings horseplay with you, roughing you up because they expect you to be stronger than that, like you're not stronger than that. There is the usual bullying from children to children, which is salad, rice and beans, chicken, whatever. So I have a long list of middle names. Um, for me, despite that, I always had the personality to protest. I couldn't protest significantly back then and stick it to the system. But what I did was to play house with the most beautiful neighbor. Her name was Desiree at the time. And these women across the street, Tina and Miss B, and they were yellow Papa. They gave me the name Papa, and it stuck with me. And and so that was fun. I remember those old women would check me and say, "Remember, your mother tell you don't go out on the street. Go back in." So that was the experience for me on Sericota Street. Now, what I find interesting is back then they were rough, but because I live in a certain area of Sericota Street, they're extremely protective not only of my home, but of me, and that really, really is interesting. But once in a while there are these few people who would come and go, "Oh, you soft, let me rub you. Oh, you soft, let me insult you." And so I used to walk to St. Ignatius. So I'm a old student of St. Ignatius. And so I had to deal with people looking at me. Back then I was quiet, not loud. I didn't have a voice. And I had to deal with all that for years and years and years. So at St. Ignatius, I remember being beaten or being hit with a 2x4. I remember being punched in the stomach. I remember being called all kinds of names. But at the end of the day, I knew who I was, and it wasn't going to stop me from shining. And so while those things cut like a knife and you won't see it, it shaped the way, or how I think, and it shaped the way my determination to deal with inequality in this country. That kind of thing. So bruising, very hurtful because it attacked the dignity. But I was reminded of a woman. I had gone to National Library, and apparently the director back then thought I was an addict. Me, an addict, okay? And an old classmate from St. Ignatius basically said to her, "No, he's the kindest person you'll ever meet." I mean, if I remember, she scraped her knee in St. Ignatius, and I managed to clear the dirt and ask her if her all right. She remembered this. She's like a 40-year-old woman now. But the point is, there are lots of these indignities as a child, but there are also these little moments that I remember, and that is what I hold on to, because I'm not going to lose my humanity, by the way, or in this case, my experiences of this treatment.
Right. So Caleb, so that was like, I feel a lot of folks can connect with that experience, and I can connect with that experience growing up. So as an advocate, when did you say, okay, you realize, okay, all of these things were going on, but what was like the thing that says, you know what, I need to do something about it? Is there like a thing that you did that said, I am an advocate and I need to do this more, leading into what we see now, the Section 53 Constitution?
Well, granted, even though I was quiet and I had a big head, small body. My head never fit my body until I reached 16. And I'm now proud of this big head. Yes, I can see a big head of Orozco exists. And so I believe my pa before 1997 had gotten into an accident, injured his spine, couldn't walk. And I would say it was years of training, because I can quarrel like cat and dog. And then I realized we were getting nowhere in the quarrel. Mm-hmm. And I started to acknowledge how he was feeling as a disabled person. And by doing that, we would quarrel at night, yes. And in the morning, he and I would resolve our concerns. And before he died in 1997, he said, you're the only child that makes sense to me.
Wow.
And all the anger I had with her the way. Now, granted, we had little moments before that where he wanted me to push him to hospital, but it was the wrong hospital. And I was imagining several ways how to push him into the canal because it was that frustrating. But then at the end of the day, when we reached the right hospital, it was like, I remember this conversation on his bed where he said, "Man, you have a lot of patience to deal with me." And again, it withered away all my anger of that day because it validated the strength of character I have.
Right. Somebody saw like the Caleb, right? Somebody saw you for
Yes.
who you are.
Yes.
And I feel like that's like very, very, very key in everything. In seeing you for who you are and seeing me for who I am, like gives the people that backbone to do things. So bringing back the conversation, Caleb, section 53.
Section 53 was an opportunity. I will be honest, I didn't know Section 53 existed in my early years. It was brought to my attention in 2007 by Tracy Robinson, a wonderful woman. I will say the smartest woman I ever knew. Though she does not like to be in the front, she's a strategist, a Jamaican woman. She's the one that started me on the road, and once I realized the power of Section 53, I stayed the course. And of course, I can't forget my mom, my 72-year-old mom, who I once took to Chetumal to the theater. She says, "Caleb, I don't want to watch this theater. Make we go and still one strip club." And
Go, mama.
and she led the way to the taxi, talked to the man like she done to the man for years. And then finally we get to the strip joint just to realize it closed. Then it opened on New Year's night. I swear.
Oh my God.
Right. So, Caleb, Section 53 took about 10 years for
Right.
it to manifest itself, right? So, what was it like in those 10 years? What was the movement like? And reflecting now, what's the biggest win for you in that movement?
Before Section 53, people never want to be on TV. They needed to be covered up. There was no celebration of self.
Like secret, hidden.
Secret, hidden. We had house party at some abandoned building at night in a village. I once jumped on a bus 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember San Jose Village. This is years ago. And I got no sleep, but we were partying next to the river in some kind of song. The people were drinking because I don't drink beer. And I was having a good time. So the house parties were real people. So bring to me, we're going to party. No. When you finish, everything hot on you because you dance out, everybody part. So the dances were real. I remember people, for Halloween, people dressed in their Witches of Eastwick outfit. John, me could fit in high boots. I don't see my ankle breaking and me running to hospital. So that's not me. And so people had a grand old time, but they're freer. So they don't need to worry about who I know, or they don't need to worry about where they're going to go. The sky didn't fall. The psychology of politicians changed. In 2009, it was, we need a political mandate, we don't have no direction. In 2013, it was the prime minister speaking of the job of the government, the state is to protect its people. The church could say, well, we don't like gay people, and that's that. And so that was an important milestone for the September celebration, independence speech. Back then was Barrow. I don't know what this new PM will say, but that's his thing. And so we saw in Human Rights Report there's a shift from we don't have a political mandate to police accepting 17 of 19 LGBT recommendation. For families now, it triggered a conversation. I remember one person said, Mike never talked to me about my sexuality, but as soon as he see you, he put me down. We had that conversation. A 70-year-old lady said to me, well, she's a Christian woman, really religious. Me learn none of she Christian sisters could talk about me, anything bad about me in front of she. And she lecturing. I like that lady. By the way, that's Elisa Ma in Orange Walk. So Ma, if you're hearing this, thank you.
Right. So as you're rightly saying, you know, people did not see how Section 53 affected their lifestyle. But at the same time, like there was something that needed to be done, right? Might as well just remove it completely and not have it there on the back of your head. But people, they really did not say, why should we go through all this movement? So Caleb, you shared that you've been 25 years doing this advocacy work, right? So we're here today, 2022. We're seeing much progress. So what do you feel like is next for you in the movement?
Well, for me, it's looking at structural and systemic violence and how it impacts women. So I have a particular client, she barely earns $9,000. But the Lands Department messed up on her application and they're calling it what? A mix-up. No, it's not a mix-up. Her documents were entered into the system in 2005. What kind of mix-up that would be? Now they have her to run wrong. She need inspection. They have her to run wrong. The weight. This poor woman need, she house to fall down. She need the land papers so that she could get one house in the yard so she and her son, who by himself is injured, to live some kind of stable life. And then people want render her expendable in the system because she don't have a voice. No, man. So, the Minister Cordell Hyde, try and check your people at Lands Department and fix the problem. That's all I'm saying. And so I can't stand the indifference in the system, the negligence, the idea that you can mistreat a poor people, in this case, a poor woman like that, trying to struggle a better life. And so you discover that inequality is built into the system. It's not just her, it's disability where the state give right now, kudos to them. They got a desk, they got a person to represent. But what I got to do with the thousands of people out there who will live past 16, you can't stop at supporting disability at 16. You have to have a serious budget. Think about their economic potential. The politicians are bawling about, well, we're here to improve the growth of the country. You have a bunch of people who have economic potential. Do an case analysis of how much it could contribute in the economy. We're talking about climate change. How you want to talk about climate change and you have 52% of the people poor, 54% of the people living in climate vulnerable areas, and you want to talk about mitigation? Yeah, 52% of the people are the poor people in this country, they're prone to lose their house that they're renting, that on the land they don't own.
Right.
So let's talk seriously about investing in our people and addressing the potential of our human capital. We live in a resource-rich country which only produces 1.9 billion. Come on. Put your money where your mouth is and start show some vision.
Right.
Not visionless leadership. It doesn't work.
Definitely, I hear you like loud and strong when it comes to addressing like these social like disparities, the inequality that's going on right now. And I love that, you know, you're talking about LGBT activism, but you talk about a whole other things that affect LGBT persons. And I feel like that's like very, very critical to say. A lot of people, I heard this guy would say man, woman, and homosexuals. And I'm like, since when homosexuals tend to be separate, right?
Yeah.
So we are man and woman, like in everything. Exactly. So Caleb, it's Pride Day in Belize. What do you want our viewers to get about the significance of celebrating or commemorating Pride Day today?
Well, I'm below this. Whether you're man, woman, or child, remember this. Not open your mouth if you don't understand the lived experience of an individual you don't know. Shut up.
Or connect.
Or connect to them. Thank you. Or connect to them. Ask them a question that shows your humanity it also values solidarity. For me, I'm not disabled, but I know I one heart attack away from being disabled. My pa used to be disabled, but I could connect with people who are disabled, and I no longer just walk past them because I can't help them. That's one. The second thing with this is when you're a politician go around, you they ask for $50, try ask for the right thing now. $50 not occur, you know, we make sure make sure you could get a job or education, or you fill up your land if you have land. Ensure your economic livelihood is protected. I get it. We want a handout. I get it. Somehow we don't have a lot of money, but try to remember it's about a hand. Oh, and for anyone on social media, they talk about this parliamentarian caucus statement. If you know wear a short skirt and somebody justify that for being raped, if you not get pissed at, if nobody take earplug out of your ear because you not acknowledge steps, if nobody they beat you up in the house, if you don't join your wife in the house management and just sit down and crack back and watch basketball and not realize your wife to do work, you don't have no place to talk. So no police women and what they wear are certainly not police staying tuned. They got something to say, listen, if our citizenship is about fairness, it shouldn't be replaced by self-interest.
Yeah.
It should be replaced by an expression of solidarity that we seek to make things better in this country. Now just wait for the politician, do your part and have the conversation one-on-one with them stupid man who think that women's bodies are chattel. I don't.
Right. So
Exactly.
everybody can do their part. Let's not wait for politicians to do
No,
something.
and that's the important thing why I feel like we need to stop looking at an organization. Unibam can't do everything. Our circle can't do everything. We have to understand that the government organizations, they can only do so much, but we too as well have to have conversations, hard conversations, uncomfortable conversations. We need to speak up about things when we hear it. When you hear somebody discriminate, somebody to disrespect, you have to help somebody up. You know, that's the support that I think as a society we need to make sure we're doing right now, because people have that backward mentality, and it's time now that we speak up about it. When I just put on the nice pride colors and everything and say, hashtag Pride Month or so, but you're not doing anything. You're not really being allied. Because the one
Meaningful,
thing
yeah.
they post, you know, the one thing they post all day long, and they say, oh, I support this and add about equality and everything, about when they're bringing down somebody, you just sit there quiet.
It's a basic culture of putting the goddamn work. Put your words where your action is.
Exactly.
Period. For me, it's a concept. It goes back to the historical concept of the house slave and the field slave. You comfortably in the house. You get good food. You have better clothes, and then you watch the person in the field. They get beat up, tortured, raped, whatever. And because they know you're not to worry.
Right.
We need to stop that culture of indifference. I call it this culture of complicity by indifference, omission, and inaction. You as worse as a colonial master who's mistreat whole sets of people. Do better. That's what I'm asking.
Definitely.
If we're going to have pride, it's not just pride for a Pride Month or Pride Day for LGBT. It's pride in our citizenship.
I like
right
that.
there. That's
Yes.
right. It's taking a step further. And man, that's I'm hoping, if nothing else, out of the whole entire conversation, not about, you know, planning for dash people in a canal, you know, remember the next stuff. You remember the pride in citizenship, the pride that we need to start now with ourselves, with our mentalities, with our actions.
Yeah. So Caleb, so two things for viewers that want to follow more your advocacy, that want to follow, you know, what is next and how they can pitch in. Can you share where they can follow you on your social media platforms?
Oh, Lord.
Yes, man, make them follow you.
Yes, of course.
And share your stuff.
See the thing, one of the beauties about Sun Up on 7 is that we have so much generations watching Sun Up on 7.
Yeah.
And I feel that we can agree that it's beautiful to see young people now, and we can say 15, 18-year-olds just being out loud and proud, which is things we could not do growing up, right? So speaking to them, and this is what we're doing transformational justice,
Yeah.
right? So how can people follow
Okay,
your social
so
media?
on TikTok, I have
TikTok.
on
Yes.
TikTok?
I never know what TikTok look like, and I never know how to use the app. I look at it and I go, oh, what the hell is this?
But now you use it, though.
Yes,
All right,
so-
honey bun. Okay.
Right. So I believe that's scalable Orozco 48, and so I started out with this whole dance craze thing, and I'm more focused on a social justice message.
Okay.
Personally, my personal Instagram is Caleb Orozco too. I believe it's 48. And then we have an organizational one, which is Unibambizi. On Facebook, there's a thing called Belize Historical LGBT. It's Belize LGBT Historical Archive or something like that, where it's an attempt to look at news coverage, images, meetings for over 16 years of operating. I believe I've given birth to a teenager. So there you can do that. Nobody could follow me on Caleb Orozco Facebook. I have about 400 people waiting for me to let them in. Facebook only give me 5,000, so sorry folks, follow, done.
Then I am dying.
Yes.
But that's the important thing. I'm hoping that, everybody connect with how you can connect. Ask the questions there. Bombard her with questions if you guys have questions, and support the movement more than just posting and sharing. We want more. We want actions. We want words. Pride in citizenship. Standing up for people that deserve the same rights as you do. And going forward with that in every single aspect, in every single arena. So we were dancing, all right?
No problem. I'll bring my back brace so that when we're done, I can sit down. No worries.
So what we have to do is, because you have a mic that's hooked up to the coach, because you and the coach have become one, right? We're going to switch out your mic real quickly. So we're going to have like a cute little picture of where me and Kevin are going to be talking about so they could get you all hooked up, because you didn't get up.
Wow.
You're going to sit down the dance. You can't do that. This is a Pride Month, honey bun.
Okay, Miss Principal.
All right, good. School has been taught. Hey, oh, look at this.
Yeah,
I see what Compo. I saw the interview too as
That
well.
was the first time that man decided to take a picture with me. I thought he wouldn't do it.
You see?
So it's the first time. It means there were more.
Yes, as a result, there was he asked me to work with one of his people for police intervention policy. Of course, I worked with youth department in between that. With that case still
All right. Caleb.
For that particular case, I was able to find
Oh,
Oh, wow.
yes! Get up!
How do we do this, friend?
You have to do it. Come on, ready? Real body movement. Come on now. The beginning. This is the beginning of the rest of
Oh, wow. I am impressed. I am impressed.